an offer back then from Tokopedia, right?
Yeah.
And from what I know, I think like you rejected it. Maybe you can tell us a bit more, like what's the reason? Welcome to Indo Techie Talk Show, and today we have a talk with an Indonesian Dropbox engineering manager. And his name is Kurniawan. So Ricky, maybe you can tell me a bit more of your background and how did you get to become a software engineer and become essentially engineering manager in Dropbox.
Sounds good. So let me probably flash back a little bit, right? So I grew up in Jakarta, and then after finishing high school, right? So one of the trend back then was like Teknik Informatika, right? So it was back in 2001.
Oh really? Di waktu
right?
Jakarta Teknik Informatika? Oh
yes. So back then that's one of the hot area. That's the TI, right? The Technical Informatika is one of the major that's hot back then, right? So I was originally planning to just I was already accepted at UI, University of Indonesia.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's the best university in Indonesia, kan ya?
Yep. So, but then my parents was asking me, say, hey, do you want to try to go study abroad, right? I mean, we don't know anybody here, so, but then, okay, I make a bold decision back then, right? So, came to Seattle, went to college, and then picked computer science as a major, right? So, I like the logic on programming. I didn't know much back then. I created like a website using a notepad editor when I was in high school, right? Back then, still using a simple, plain HTML, right? Nothing fancy.
Okay.
And then
there's no like fancy IDEs yang kayak Xcode or whatever gitu yang sekarang ini ya.
Yeah. So it's like pretty plain kind of like a website back then, like posted in GeoCities or
oh my god,
I forgotten about that. So those are the time back then, right? So that got me interested in like programming, right? So that's why I picked computer science as a major. Came here to US like back in 2001, and then get into UW. I mean, they have pretty good computer science major there, right? So and then I graduated back in 2005, and then was not sure at the beginning like what's next after graduation, whether to go back or work here, right? And start applying for jobs. Went to career fair, and then ended up like I got accepted by some companies. Like one of them is Microsoft, and then also like Disney, right? So and then I have to make some decisions. So I end up like working at Microsoft. Started as a software engineer for a couple of years, right? Working in different groups. In Microsoft is pretty big, so started as an engineer in the Office team, and then working on Windows, shipping Windows 8 App Store back then.
Okay.
And then start kind of like, hey, I start liking the role of like growing other engineers, right? So as you grow, becoming like more senior engineer, you kind of like have to ramp up other people, help to onboard other people, start helping other people to grow, right? So that's where I feel like, hey, as engineering manager, I have the responsibility to working on the roadmap, long-term roadmap, finding a good match of engineers between like the good skill set with the actual project there, start growing people. So that's where I start getting into this engineering manager role back in 2011, 12, right? So that's where I joined also another team in Microsoft, joining the SQL team back then, right?
SQL team, okay.
And then, I mean, start growing in the engineering major roles, hiring people, growing people there, working on the team roadmap. So that's one of the main thing that I did. And then, so I worked at Microsoft until 2018, right? So like last year. It's quite a long time, like almost 13 years there.
You really like it over there, yeah?
Yeah, I moved from one team to another team, so I feel every time you move to another teams, then it feels like something new. You meet with new people, new challenges, new project areas, right? So it doesn't feel that you were spending the whole like 12 years there. And then last year I started like exploring outside, right? So I've been like different teams, Microsoft, and then interviewing like having meeting with people working on different companies, try to explore the opportunities out there, and then somehow I got this opportunity at Dropbox, right? So they're hiring engineering manager on the retrieval team. So that's the team that I'm owning right now. So the team that I'm managing is owning the browse and the search experience for Dropbox.
Browse and search
So if
experience,
you go
nice.
to dropbox.com, then the browsing of the files and the actions that you can do on the files, the user experience part of it is what my team is owning.
Okay.
And also the search. So when you try to retrieve files or folders, you go to the search bar and
That's
type.
impressive.
Yeah. So
That's
that's
pretty much the main one of the main flag
Yes.
feature of Dropbox.
yeah.
then.
So
that's
the
really cool.
retrieving part of your
Yeah.
content, pretty much that's the user experience. That's what my team is owning.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have I guess a couple of questions. I think like you were saying that you got into the University of Washington, right?
Mhm.
And teman-teman, kalau University of Washington is actually one of the university yang quite hard to get into, especially as a computer science course.
Mhm.
And a lot of if you go into University of Washington, it's very easy for you to get into like these big tech companies, right? Microsoft, Amazon, but not a lot of people get into that. So maybe Ricky, coba can you tell me a bit more, like what is your experience of getting accepted into the UW?
For you to get accepted the computer science major in UW, you have to write an essay, right? You have to write an essay. You have to write a personal statement, sort of, right? So I think that's something that need to be stand out. So what kind of projects that you worked before? So I was involved in some side project, creating a website, creating presentation. So that's outside of just the normal courses that I took, right? So I think
interesting.
that kind of like helped. So I was involved also in the church project back then, right?
Oh,
They're
website.
creating website, creating through like internship is another good things, right? I mean, during my last year at UW, I was involved in this CPT training. So I was
CPT?
yeah, it's instead of the OPT, which is what you do after you graduate, you have
Okay.
that 1 year period, but this one is on the final kind of like quarter that you can take this training where you actually work on a company, so you have to apply. So I was before
Oh.
Microsoft, I was spending almost a year, I think, in the CPT program
Okay.
at Cisco Systems. So that's the company that's doing networking. I was in the Unified Communication Business Unit back then, building the software for their phone system, right? So that actually helped as well, right? So you're learning.
Builds up your real world experience.
Exactly.
Gitu, ya.
Yep. So
Then everything. How hard it is like to get your first job?
it's not easy, right? I mean, especially on your final kind of like couple quarters, you start attending career fair, right, to try to apply for companies. But then, I mean, of course, it's not that you apply for one, you got an interview, and then you got accepted. It's not like the perfect scenario like that, right? So you apply, you get a rejection, you don't get any response. So that happened, right? And then you got it, like you try to then polish your resume, try to go into this. At school, you have this writing center. Try to improve those things.
Had that
I mean,
too,
we don't have LinkedIn back then, right? So LinkedIn didn't exist.
Doesn't exist, yeah.
So now it's easier because we have LinkedIn. So back then, you still have your own resume. You have to go to career fair, submit the paper copy, or like sometimes you have to upload it, the soft copy, right? So you apply to the website, you don't hear anything, right? You don't get a response. But once, I mean, after applying for some, you get some responses. You get this phone interview. I mean, of course, initially you get nervous because you don't know what to expect. But then as time goes, you're getting like more experience on that. Then you start getting interview. Of course, your first couple interview, it's total failure because you never get experience, right? So yeah, I mean, it takes a couple times for the interview to go through, right?
Persistence, yeah.
Yeah, you have to keep trying, and then finally, I think ways will open up, right, for you to get there. Heard from. I mean, it's not the case for my experience. I mean, I didn't get much referral back then, right?
Okay.
But that actually what I think might help also in this case. If you know somebody
The
that's already
referrals.
working at a company, and then you, I mean, have a like good knowledge for that other person that working on the project that you work together before outside of work, then referral will help in this case.
So in your case, like in terms of referral, like do you get a referral for Microsoft or
No.
okay.
For Microsoft, it was, I think I don't even remember exactly because I applied for so many companies back then, right?
Okay.
So I think it's probably from the career fair. Like there, I mean, at least for UW, those big companies come, right? So they do career fair like maybe every couple of months. So attending those also help. Then you get like to submit your resume there, and then, yeah.
Like the leadership with the professional and calm style,
Yeah.
right? And so what do you think maybe is actually the most important quality as a leadership in tech?
Yeah, so I think one of the key thing is, as a good leader, you have to keep up with the actual kind of like, I mean, especially in tech, right? What's the latest and greatest in the tech area? So you still read news, you follow things, right? What's the trend out there, right? So you kind of try to think a step ahead.
Okay.
Right. So working with your peer product manager, working with your peer analysts, right? Trying to see, hey, what's out there, and then like you need to think a little bit ahead.
Planning a little bit of the tasks and
Exactly.
milestones.
Yeah.
that
So
you
then
need.
that way you know the roadmap, right? So one of the good leaders, they know the vision ahead, like where are we going here, right? So what our competitor, what kind of feature that we have to build, what feature will delight users. So you need to kind of like think ahead, right? So that's usually not something that you think as an individual contributor, because you are mostly trying to produce code, right? Trying to produce feature. So having that kind of like mindset, a view looking forward, I think that's one of the critical things, right? Then one of the critical thing, then once you establish that, how do you translate that into the actual executing
Into an action
that?
items.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's where usually as a manager you need to work with the tech lead on your team, because the tech lead know better in terms of, hey, what kind of framework do we need to use, what's the cost, what's the pro and cons, right? Finding that balance is, I think, is critical.
Yeah.
Finding the proper engineers that can work on this project, right? So then once that's defined, then you need to work, you have this pool of engineers on your team who will be interested in working on what. I mean, what are their skill set? You are responsible to grow the engineers
Yeah.
themselves, right? So each one of them has their own interest. They want to work on front end or back end. They were more interested in doing analysis of stuff, right? So that's the challenge as well. I mean, you not necessarily be able to find a good fit and match for each individual. So being able to make a compromise here, like, so that's also critical.
Okay, that's cool. Let's talk a little bit of the about leadership, right? Because I think like as I know, you actually had an offer back then from Tokopedia, right?
Yeah.
And from what I know, I think like you rejected it. Maybe you can tell us a bit more, like what's the reason?
Yeah. So I mean, when I was exploring, I think last year, right? So I got approached by I think one of the recruiter from Tokopedia, right? So and then I started a conversation because back then I was like just trying to explore, and then I just found out that one of the Tokopedia VP actually is somebody that graduated from here as well, right? Worked in Microsoft before, so I know him previously. So then he was visiting, so I got a brief chat with him.
Yeah.
And then I follow up. I interview. I mean, it's interesting. Everything is going is happening through video conferencing or the interview. Learning. I think I talked with a lot of VP there. I mean, they have a very big and bold kind of goals. So like Tokopedia, I think in the e-commerce space in back in Indonesia, right? So. I found their goal, their mission is very good, so that's why I keep continue like talking with the different people there, and then I get the opportunities basically. So back then I was having an offer here for some companies, one of them is Dropbox and also Tokopedia. I mean, it's not an easy decision, right? I've been here for in the US for more than 10 years right now, right? So 15 years plus another 4 years of going to school, right? So almost 20 years. Going back now with family, it's not just something that just like pack your luggage and then go back home, right? So that's why I was talking with them. I mean, maybe the timing is just, it's not that opportunity that I'm not, it's not lining. It's more about the timing probably, right? So maybe in the future, if the timing is right, I mean, that's something I'm kind of still probably thinking Yeah.
So you
Because-
would say there's still a chance for you to still come back to Indonesia
Yeah,
and maybe work for
maybe.
this big startup?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe down the road, yeah.
I think, okay, because I think we are running out of time. But I think I really had a lot of fun with this talk show, and I hope that teman-teman kalian semua di sana learn something from this. I think I learned a lot personally. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Ricky. Thank you for
My
giving your
pleasure.
time.
Yes.
Yeah.